And welcome back to the First Act podcast live. So here we are, and welcome back to the First Act podcast, the podcast navigating the musical theatre industry as a graduate, one episode at a time. Now, tonight we have a very exciting episode because we have a live audience. Can we get a big applause? And we have not one, but two guests with us tonight. So we get a round of applause for our guests, please. So we have the lovely Martyn Sanderson. Martyn trained in musical theatre and now has his own independent production company where he hosts concerts for graduates and also produces new works as well. And then we also have Molly Corrigan-White, who trained as a musical theatre performer and recently finished being a lead vocalist on Viking Cruises. And today we'll be talking about life after drama school, life on the job, and how they navigated their first act out of drama school. So hey, hi. Welcome to the podcast.
Do you want us to be on mic for this moment?
Go on then.
Hold it down.
Hello.
No, hold it down.
Technical difficulty.
Good start.
Hello. Hello.
Hi.
How are we today?
Great, how are you?
I'm amazing. So I like to do a little icebreaker before we start delving into the juicy bits. So I know we've all seen the Timothée Chalamet video about the ballet, the ballet and theatre. What are your thoughts and feelings on this in this current time?
I'm just glad someone finally said it.
So you agree with it?
Of course not. I work in the arts. I think it was definitely a conversation opener for us to actually talk more about ballet and opera. Yeah. So it's actually kind of like, I don't know if it was like some sort of weird planned thing, but it feels like the actual publicity behind ballet and opera has now improved because of it. Yeah. So I guess it's a good thing in a way. Anything to add?
Not particularly. You've covered most of the points that I wanted to say, but yeah, I do think it was a bit scripted, perchance. Because yeah, we are talking a lot more about it now. So yeah.
Do you think that the industry is staying fresh and like where it should be, or do you think it's kind of having that time of becoming like ballet and opera and might becoming a bit dated, as Timothée Chalamet says? I wouldn't say that, but Timothée Chalamet obviously thinks that. So, or do you think it's staying like fresh with revivals and stuff like that, or do you think it's...
I definitely think that it's becoming fresher. Like all of the Jamie Lloyd stuff, I think is definitely putting a more modern twist on classic musical theatre, making it more inclusive by having things outside, and it's getting like TikTok representation and stuff. So I do think it's getting fresher. I think there's work to do, but I think that it's going the right way.
Absolutely.
Anything to add, Martyn?
I think you've ticked all the boxes once more. I think more and more off West End and like fringy venues are opening, which is always a positive. And I think more and more new work is being produced and more new musicals and new plays, and I can't necessarily speak on opera and ballet myself because I don't do either of those things, but I think the arts as a general are in a good place at the moment, I'd like to think.
There we go, Timothy, if you're watching, that is what's happening.
I'm
it's
sure
still live
is.
and kicking. So let's talk to Martyn. So Martyn, you trained in musical theatre, and what was life like after graduation for you?
I think maybe slightly different to Molly because I am so very, very old and withered. I graduated PBA in 2017, and so I think the industry was certainly a very, very different place pre-COVID. I think there's two very separate industries. And I think things were very much what you'd probably now refer to as like old school, maybe slightly outdated views. And I think everything very much improved post-2020. But when I first came out, I was auditioning. I moved to London the day after my prom. Wow. So I was extremely hungover. And had to carry a piano up 4 flights of stairs. And then immediately just started auditioning. I got an agent from Showcase, and then decided to do basically what was marketed as like a cruise on land. So it's, you know TUI, the holiday company.
Oh, yeah.
They do like, they used to, it's no longer a concept anymore, something called the TUI Gold, which was basically, they would get these like 5-star hotels, which had like theatres in the hotel, and I lived in Spain. and you do like exactly what Molly did on the ship. You do like 8 production shows over the course of 2 weeks. So everything you're doing on a cruise, but you get to not have to sway around in your sleep.
Sounds pretty good, to be honest.
I know. I didn't get seasick. Yeah, I just got to live in Spain for a bit, which was lovely.
Spain?
Yeah.
Ooh, where
It was
in Spain?
gorgeous. Malaga.
Ooh.
It was
You were
great.
partying a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on.
And then just kind of bits and pieces of jobs. I fell away from the industry for a little bit and went into events management, which was
Ooh.
very rogue of me.
Okay.
And then decided post kind of COVID, me and my business partner Shakira decided why not give ourselves some work when there's not that much going on. So we started our own production company.
Amazing. How long has the company been running?
A year and a half.
What
So
kind
it's still
of-
a baby.
What kind of made you want to go away from that and do a production company, like specifically, like what?
I think whilst I was at drama school, I was very privileged to have been given opportunities to I musical directed one of my 3rd year shows, and I was always, I think I always, if I actually am honest with myself, preferred that side of things. I preferred being in charge of a room actually than being told what to do, which was quite nice. I like to be able to do all the musical side, make people sound pretty, make harmonies sound nice. And so when I was given the opportunity to do that as part of like my own company, I was like, I can be the musical supervisor of everything I do.
Yeah.
That's quite nice.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it was never something I ever considered doing production as a career. I would never have said I would be a producer.
Yeah.
But I quite like it. It's quite exciting.
What was your first ever thing you did with the company?
We actually, well, because Shakira and I are both Scottish. Everyone's Scottish on this one.
Ooh, Scottish episode.
And so we actually founded the company with a concert series. Actually, we didn't even plan on making a company to start with. We just did a concert called Emerging Scots, which was for Scottish people that were kind of fresh out of drama school to do something on an off West End stage, get a credit, get some showreel footage, and then it slowly kind of built from there. Right after that, we did a concept called Scribbles, which we've now done like 4 or 5 of, which is again just platforming new musical theatre writing.
Yeah.
So we get like a group of new musical theatre composers who've written new songs. We get a group of graduates who are like fresh into the biz, and we marry them together. And so graduates get to sing like a brand new song that no one's ever sang before, get to workshop like new musical theatre. So it's all very exciting.
Yeah.
And then the kind of company just built itself from there, really.
So how do you network finding the people, like for Scribbles and stuff? How do you find the like writers and stuff? Is that like through social media or emails?
So I think because social media is now probably the single most powerful tool for networking within the theatre industry, we do pretty much every single aspect of our business is run through Instagram. And so we, even in the last year and a half, we've got like 5,000 followers on the production Instagram. And so everything kind of happens from there. Well, it happened from there to start with, but now what's nice is we've got a bit of a reputation in the industry. So now people come to the shows with the intention of meeting us to say like, oh listen, I know that you do this concept, I've got this, can we talk about it, can I send you an email? So it kind of started out social media, networking, and then turned into everything.
You also do you did Connections, didn't you? So like,
Yeah,
that's quite a big
first
deal.
ever brand new musical.
So that was with the first ever production with
Yeah,
them.
so it was the
Wow.
first time we ever, they'd done a couple of workshops, a bit like non-staged workshops, no workshops, so like a closed room.
Yeah.
Jump on the table. Oh no, I just hit the microphone.
And we're back.
With,
Yeah, we decided to kind of just try out doing an actual book musical for the first ever time. And so it was actually, they were in the first ever Scribbles. So they had 2 songs in the first Scribbles. We loved the songs, we thought the writing was amazing. And so they spoke to us, they were like, have you ever considered doing something bigger? And we were like, okay.
yeah.
So we got together a cast of 6 performers, like 5 band members, kind of did an industry showing and then a sold out evening performance for the audience. And it was very overwhelming and very exciting all at the same time.
Yeah. What is your, because you do a lot at the Young Palace.
Yeah.
What is your relationship like with them? Like, how do you negotiate? Like, okay, so I want to put this on, and then in this time, and so what's like your relationship?
What's quite
like
nice
with
is
them?
Kiki Stevenson, name drop. She actually just left the Other Palace this week, sadly. She's the production coordinator at the Other Palace, and we kind of formed a really incredible instant relationship with her, where it got to a point where she was then emailing us, being like, I've got 4 dates available, do you want them before I give them to anyone else?
Yeah.
So it got to a point where we were now like kind of offer only for dates, which was gorgeous. And sometimes if we were like, oh, we've got a Sondheim concert we want to put on, can we have this date? We've got I don't know, a graduate cabaret we want to put on. She has been so forthcoming, and the relationship with the other palace is great. They're such a fantastic venue.
Yeah. What do you see in the future for your company?
I think where we are at the moment is such a nice place for us to be just a year and a half in. I think we had such an incredibly overwhelming first year where everything was going so well, so quickly, that it was like, okay, but now it's building the foundations of like really good relationships. Can't even stress to you how important it is that people in the industry like you, because it sometimes matters more than you being anyway talented. And so we've kind of built really great relationships with multiple venues, with loads of like very successful performers who now like talk about us and build our reputation for us, which is amazing. And so I think more of what we're doing, maybe some more new writing. We've got our second like full Pride Festival happening in June, which we've just announced, where the other palace have kindly given us an 8-show week where we get to just do lots of silly gay things at the other palace.
So looking back on your third year, because some people in the audience are third years and we're about to go out into the big wide world, what was your third year like? Do you have any piece of advice that you would give to us in our current state?
Current state.
Current state.
We had the best third year ever. We were such an incredibly close year. We were a much smaller year than drama schools tend to have now. There was only 37 of us. And so we were very close-knit. We got to do 5 booked musicals, which was very, very lucky. And just had a great time doing the industry, which is what third year is. You kind of like stop training at the end of your second year, really, and then become a core kind of a core cast. And so it's just like enjoying yourself and not being stressed. I think you put so much pressure on yourself as a third year that you need to get signed by United or Collective or one of like top 5 agencies. And I often think, and I would tell third years, that it's not the best idea to go with a big agency because you'll get lost. I think going with a boutique agency sometimes feels daunting because you don't want to be like one of 20 people in the books, but you actually kind of do, because then you're much more looked after. If you're on the same books as like Olivia Colman, then Olivia Colman might take preference. Whereas if you are like sought after by a kind of newer agent, but someone who like very, very visibly cares, I think sometimes that's a better route to go down.
So I like to ask all my guests at the end of our chats, if you could go back and speak to your graduate self, what are the 3 pieces of advice you'd give yourself moving forward?
Oh God, I wish I'd known this question in advance.
Sorry.
I thought about things. First of all, so I told myself to not stress. On the day of showcase, I was a wreck. Because sometimes, and you'll find this out when, next week? Week after?
2 weeks.
Oh. Sometimes you will get, not sometimes, you will have people in the year who will get offers from agents less than an hour after showcase finishes.
Wow.
And that will cause drama, I will tell you now. Because you will find out that someone else got an email and you're like, I've not got anything. And then they've received, now they've got 4 emails and I am still to hear anything. But that doesn't mean that they were substantially more talented than you. Maybe they just fit a niche that multiple agents are looking for. Maybe your casting isn't the same as theirs. Well, it's not going to be. And for example, some of those people in my year who were the most sought after by agents have now left the industry to do other things. And some people who maybe didn't get any interest for the first couple of weeks after Showcase have not stopped working since we graduated. So I think the first one is enjoy Showcase Day. Showcase Day was very, very stressful for me and I wish it hadn't been. What else would I say? I would say don't put as much pressure on yourself to think if you've not built an entire career on performing, then you've failed. I think I now have a very successful career in the musical theatre industry and I'm not performing at all. So, well, I like to sing at my own shows, because duh. But I think it was in my head the be-all and end-all that if I didn't perform, what was the point of me having gone and done a degree in musical theatre? I failed. But that's not the case. There's so many different avenues in the theatre industry. I know so many people who are casting, producing, agenting, what's that called? Representing performers. And just doing so many different things within the industry that I maybe would have considered unsuccessful when I was in third year and my brain was switched on that way. But then that's not the case at all. And also just like, Yeah, just chill.
Just chill.
Just chill.
Yeah.
I am actually quite a chill person, but I don't think I was that chill towards the end of my 3rd year.
But you're chill now.
I'm so chill.
You've
now.
made it.
I have.
You've made it.
Look at me.
So thank you so much. Can we get a round of applause for Martyn?
Thank
you. So we have Molly Corrigan-White.
Hello.
How are you? Okay?
I'm very good. How
All
are you?
All good. So tell me, what was your life like after graduating?
So mine was a bit of a weird one because I had got one of my first credits performing while still in drama school. So we did our first production, so we did Legally Blonde, and there was a producer in the audience and she scouted 2 of us and we workshopped a new musical which was in the German Street Theatre. So I was really lucky to have that opportunity before I graduated. And then again, all thanks to PPA, we had Blackburn International who provide Viking with performers and bands and such. They came in looking for some people as well, and I got picked there to do Viking. So I graduated thinking, easy peasy. Now I'm living grad life since I'm back, and it's not as easy as what it is. So it's hard to kind of navigate that when everyone else in your year has already done that. So yeah, it's weird. It's been good, it's been weird, it's been up, it's been down, but I wouldn't change it. It's been great.
Yeah. What was it like being on a cruise and like that kind of experience?
Yeah, it was. I think everyone should try a cruise once. If you don't like it, you don't have to go back. But you should definitely try it once. I've seen some amazing places. We were in South America, we were in the Med, we came back to the UK quite often, so it was nice. You could see friends and family. The actual cruise itself was crazy. We had a 3-week rehearsal process before we went on. We had 8 shows to put on. So it was like swing times 10 because you also have to learn everyone else's track because we didn't have any swings or any covers on our cruise. So I had to learn the other F1 track and some of the male tracks just in case we had a really short show and we had to go on and do other stuff. So it was crazy. And then when we got on, we had like a week of like install, which was even crazier. And then we could breathe. Then it was down to us. We did maximum like 6 shows a week, and then it would roll over. We got to make lovely connections with the guests. We got to do other bits and bobs around the ship. We did like solo traveller lunches and dinners, and that was really nice to get to connect with the people that are coming and watching you every night. And a really nice thing that Vi can do as well, at the end of your shows, you get to stand at stage door and you get to greet everyone. And I actually met Barbara. I met Barbara Streisand's sister-in-law. I met Barbara. She was on my Viking cruise. She came to watch stage door. No, I met her sister-in-law, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is what it feels like to be famous. I love it. But yeah, it was great.
Your family able to come and see you?
Yeah, they were. So we were really lucky. We got given 28 days of friends and family passes. I didn't use the whole 28 days, but I used 10 for my mum to come on. And she lived an absolute life. She was like Kris Jenner walking around that ship. She was like, that's my daughter up there, by the way, making friends with everyone. But yeah, it was lovely that we got to have them come on because it's kind of them you're doing it for, isn't it? So it was nice for them to come and see.
Did you get seasick?
Yes. Oh, terribly.
Oh,
really.
Any advice for seasickness?
Ginger, raw ginger, just nom it. Nom it. Green apples as well. Don't know what that's all about. On days where we knew the weather was going to be really rough, we'd go down to the crew mess, which is like where you go and get your food. Piles of green apples, and you'd be like, oh no, I'm not sleeping tonight. But yeah, green apples, ginger, lying down, trying to get fresh air if the decks are open. If they're not, good luck. But yeah, no, it was, I didn't get too bad, but I did get a little bit.
Yeah. What were kind of the pieces you performed on the cruise? What were the kind of themes?
Okay, so we did like lots of different things. So I'm trying to remember now. We did a musical theatre show, which was called Stage Door. So all of the shows were like 50 minutes. This one was a little bit longer. We got to wear beautiful ball gowns. I had a lovely green one. We did a country show called Southern Sounds, so that was really fun. We did our own production show, which is just ship specific. which was called Decades. So it started in the 1950s and went right through to the 80s, and I think that was my favourite because it had the most dance, it had the most like the music that I like. It had Fleetwood Mac, it had Carole King, which was really great. We also did Duets, which was a duet show, what it says in the tin really. I'm trying to think now, Amy. We also did, come back to me because I don't remember. we did lots. Did
you make a lot of connections? Like, were you as a cast got on very well?
Yeah, we were really lucky. So there's only 4 people on Viking cruises, so when you're going into that rehearsal room, you're like, gosh, I really do hope I get along with these people. And really luckily we did. We came out and we were like family. I still keep in contact with them every day. I seen Matthew from my cast 2 weeks ago, and it's really special, the connection you make with those people, because you go through such highs and lows. Because people say that on a ship, your best days are like so high, but then your lowest days are like some of the worst days you could ever have. So you really need that nice support network. But I also made friends with people outside of the cast, the band, some of the crew. We're all really lovely, really nice people.
What was it like coming back to land after it all?
It was weird. It was weird. I think I was so used to the regimentation. Is that a word?
Yeah.
We'll use that.
Go for it.
The regimentation of wake up, go to the crew mess, grab your green apple, go get ready for the show, go and do some other activities. That when I came back to land, I also came back when there was not many auditions going. It was just before Panto season. So I wanted to come back and kind of immerse myself back into the musical theatre world, but there wasn't really much going on. So I found it difficult to find that kind of oomph to keep going. But I was like, okay, I'm going to give myself a month, and if I still don't want to do it, I won't do it anymore. Gave myself a month, and I was like itching to get back into audition rooms. So yeah, it was an adjustment, but one that happened quite quickly.
Yeah. So looking back on your third year, any like thing that you can look back on, like what was it like for you looking back on it now?
Yeah, we had, again, a bit different from Martyn because it was fresher. It was 2024, I think, when we graduated. Our year was still a lot smaller, so a lot smaller than what you guys have. I think it was like 37 or 38 as well. It was stressful. It was really, really stressful. It was great. There was really lovely moments in it, but I think a lot of us just got so immersed in this, I need to get an agent, oh, this person's getting an audition and I haven't, oh, I'm not going to talk to that person. So yeah, it was stressful, but it was also really wonderful. It was how I got my first job out of drama school, so yeah, it was really worthwhile. Yeah.
So looking back on your time, if you could go back to talk to your third year self, just about to graduate, what are the 3 pieces of advice that you would give yourself?
Stay in your own lane. Don't get caught up in what other people are getting and what you're not getting. Think, this is my end goal, this is where I want to be, this is how I'm going to get there. Not everyone's journey is going to be the same. Ignore other people's opinions. Don't ignore them in a mean way, but ignore if it's things that aren't good to hear. I'd also say chill, like Martyn. Chill out, man. You don't need to walk out of drama school with a job lined up, 5 agents knocking at your door. I know so many people, one of my housemates, she didn't have any agent offers, she didn't have any auditions, and now she's on a cruise ship for 9 months and is going back on another one. So it doesn't matter as much as you think it does. Yeah. There's still so much you can learn when you go into the industry. Your learning doesn't stop in third year. I'm still learning things every day. So yeah, my main ones would be chill and also stay in your own lane.
Yeah. Perfect, lovely. Thank you, Molly. Can we get a round of applause for Molly again? So to round up this evening, we have a little Q&A. We've got some questions that have been sent in beforehand, and then I'll also open it up if anyone's got any questions they're like, oh, I kind of want to ask that. So I'll just get my notebook, give me a second. So it can range for anything like networking or muggle jobs, it's kind of a free-for-all. So I've got a question here. Molly, how did you find swing term? Ooh! It was, we did cats. And as
someone who's not a dancer, we got told we were doing cats and I cried immediately and screamed round the corridors, I'm not wearing lycra, I'm not doing it. It was actually great. I think it was the most useful thing I've done in PPA. It's the most like anything I've done in the industry. It gets your brain to work in a way where you're not just picking up on what you need to do, you're watching everything in the room, which I think you should always do anyway, just in case there is sometime there's sickness in a cast that you need to step up and do it. I really enjoyed it. It was stressful. Do your swing maps before 2 nights before they're due in. Yeah.
Great. We also have another question. This is for both of you. So, what type of muggle jobs did you have, or do you currently have?
The first one, I worked in Waterstones for a bit.
I love
I was a bookseller in Waterstones. I worked there for a year actually. It was right after I got back from Spain. I worked there. I moved straight back to London. I moved to Finchley in North London, and I was a little bookseller.
Aww.
And then what else did I do? I went on Universal Credit during the pandemic. That was nice.
Woohoo!
We love government money. And I guess, I now teach at multiple drama schools, which I don't necessarily, I guess it kind of sits, it's not particularly industry, but it kind of is at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm educating future industry professionals, I
There we go.
suppose.
Yeah.
I worked at a pub and still do work at that pub sometimes. That was great. The stove
The
fittings
stove.
there, but shout out to the stove. Yeah, love it there. So I'm a manager there, and I also do some teaching on the side for stagecoach and then some cover teaching where I'm needed. I think that I really enjoy both of those jobs. It's important to have a job that you enjoy very much. Yeah.
Lovely. Hello, this is for Martyn. What inspired you to start your own production company with Shakira?
I think it was just Shakira and I both deciding if no one else is going to hire us right now, why don't we hire ourselves? And just, I think creating your own work in any capacity in the industry is so important, which is why to shout out the wonderful Nick Charters. I think what he's now doing with the third years, which is exactly what you are doing right at this very second in time, is encouraging the third years as part of their dissertation, well, now for their dissertation, to do something creative within the industry. I think it's such a fantastic idea, because I'm sure like you might start an official podcast like Amber Davies. This might be a thing you do as part of your career now.
See what happens.
And it's such a great thing to have your fingers on all the pies in this industry. If you can the more things that you can do, the more strings on your bow, by far the better.
Yeah. Thank you for that. This is for both of you. What can you recommend in regards to networking in the industry?
I just think don't ever stop doing it. It's just don't be annoying about it. Because I think you can be annoying.
Or me specifically?
Yeah, you, Amy Walton, can be annoying. What the royal you, one can be annoying. I think it is important when you're at something like an event and you see, I know for a fact that that's blank. Go over and just have a chat. Sometimes you'll get the vibe if they don't want to speak to you, and then you should take that vibe. But I don't think there's ever a problem with letting yourself be known by people. I think attending casting masterclasses just so you've got your name on their head. Just so that you're always kind of constantly trying to make yourself known by as many people as possible in the least annoying way possible.
Yeah, I agree with all of the points said. The casting masterclasses are such a big thing. They're great. I think what's the one? Runway? Run at it, shouting. That's what they're called. Plug to them. I went to a few of those. They're great. If you know that casting director is doing work that you want to do, it's such a great way to go and see how their mind works. And also is nice to be okay, when they rejected me this time, it wasn't because of my talent, it was because of X, Y, and Z. I think that's really great. Another thing that I did in third year, which was great as well, was kept in contact with a lot of my teachers, because you never know what they're going to do. Most of the time they're people that are in the industry, whether it be producing or they're physically performing. It's great to keep in touch with those people, send them a little Instagram message because they will be thinking of you. And yeah, just keep going. Definitely message on Instagram though. That's what I do.
I think, I think there's a tendency to sometimes, and I probably did the same, to think of your teachers at drama school as your teachers. And sometimes like, oh my god, they're really annoying because they want to make us do this. But the vast majority of them are working industry professionals.
Yeah.
And so if you're on the bad side of someone who can actually get your name out of the running of something, that's never something you want to do.
Yeah.
So it's constantly being such a warm and generous, open performer that you want to be someone whose name is brought up positively in any room.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you for that. I have a question for Martyn. When you audition for your shows and concerts, what exactly are you looking for? Are you looking for more personality or the perfect voice?
All of the above and none of the above. It entirely depends on every single job. For example, we've just finished casting our Sondheim show that's happening in a couple of weeks. It's the most submissions we've ever received. We received 500 submissions for this one. I had to whittle that down to 20. And so when it comes to Sondheim, you're looking at acting first. You're looking at, can this person tell the story that Stephen Sondheim wrote?
Yeah.
A lot of his shows, I would say the acting is more important than the voice. But of course you want them to be able to sing very, very well on top of that. Whereas if we were, say, to do like a divas belting concert, then obviously what we're looking for is some divas who can belt.
Yeah.
So it's entirely dependent. I think people who do bring personality, it's instantly if there are 500 tapes, you want to make yours known. We had someone for the Sondheim one, actually it was last year's Sondheim one, was doing something, I'm guessing Mrs. Lovett, based on what I'm about to say, but the first shot of her self-tape was her like holding a whisk. And it's still I couldn't tell you her name, but it's stuck in my head to this day. And it's just something that instantly makes you be like, okay, I'm switched on. This tape's going to be interesting in some capacity.
Yeah.
So I think it is always bringing something that you might think, oh my god, this is so ridiculous, but wouldn't it be funny if I just held a whisk for this self-tape? Because when you're watching 500 tapes, you can very easily switch off. Especially when it's like lovely, like emotional ballads. You can be like, okay, let's get to a diva's belting. But bring a whisk. That's my parting advice.
There you
Bring
go.
a whisk.
Molly, any advice for combating nerves when in an audition room? How do we look confident in front of a panel even if we don't feel like it?
Fake it till you make it, baby. You gotta do it. I'm actually kind of nervous right now. I'm just. Who would know? No, you just gotta fake it. What I like to do when I walk into an audition room is make sure I've prepared as much as I can, which can be hard sometimes because you might get the audition stuff through the day before. But just prepare. Once you're prepared, I like to walk into the audition room as if it's an opportunity to perform rather than an opportunity to audition. I like to go in there with the mindset of, okay, I've got this job, this is how I would perform if I was on day one of rehearsal for whatever I'm auditioning for.
Yeah.
And I think that gets you kind of in the mindset of not, I need to impress these people, but to enjoy what you're doing. And it also puts the panel at ease, because if you walk into a room and you're like, oh, good morning, I missed the tube, they're like, gosh, what's going on? But if you walk in and take a deep breath before you go into the room, automatically they're at ease, they're going to feel more comfortable when they're watching you. So yeah.
Yeah, amazing, thank you. What would you say is the best way to stand out in a casting call?
Bring a whisk.
Bring a whisk. For me, personality is always personality, because everyone in that room in a casting call will probably be able to do what you can do, if not better. How are you going to stand out? Well, use the one thing that they don't have, yourself. It's how I got my Viking job. I stand by it. When I was speaking to Scott, the casting director, and he was like, there was so many great people that auditioned that year, but you came in and started talking about how you like to go skiing on the dry ski slope, and I was doing a little ski for him, and he was like, I think this girl's good crack. Like, you've just got to bring that personality, 100%.
Yeah. Martyn, any comments?
Yeah, I think it sounds very like drama school, but it is like the casting director wants to give you the job the second you've come in the room. I think you can think, oh god, like right, I need to impress, but actually you just want to do what you're there to do, and he wants to give it to you. If you're the first person in the room and he wants to, and you're the perfect person for it, oh my god, you've made the casting director's job the easiest thing on earth. So like it's bringing in the mindset of like, I'm just here to show off my skills. If they don't like it, they don't like it. But there's no need for me to get so stressed because you're just bringing your product. If your product's not quite right, then so be it. But casting director is not out to make you feel like shit. It's not out to like make you feel small or belittle you. They actively just want to be like, okay, oh my god, amazing, done.
Yeah.
Close the rest of the auditions.
We're done. Amazing,
We're
thank
done.
you. So, how do you balance muggle jobs and then getting to auditions? Like, how is the scheduling? How do you find the scheduling? Anyone?
Thanks, darling. I would say get a muggle job that is, what's the word? Casual? Like a 0 hour contract,
Yeah.
or one that isn't like you have to be there for 40 hours a week. It might seem scary because you might be like, oh, I might not make enough money to survive. You will, it's
Yeah.
okay. Your career is the most important thing. So get something that's flexible. I used to work in retail and that wasn't great to try and get time off. Hospitality, I think, is such a great place, and that's why there's so many performers working in hospitality. Because you can just call up and then there's a queue of people that would take your shift. So yeah, if something comes through last minute, you're not always guaranteed to get the time off, but just don't go. Call in sick.
Do what you need to do.
Yeah, do what you need to do. Maybe don't take that advice, but
I've done all my written questions, but I'm just going to open it out to the audience. If you have anything, speak now.
I was going to ask Molly.
hello.
Hi. Have you ever been on a ship before you went on a cruise, or was that like your first time?
No. I've been on I went on a snorkeling trip when I went on holiday in Greece.
You never been on a ferry up in the
I was in a ferry, yeah, but I was wee, so I don't really remember it. But no, I hadn't ever been on a ship before, not for a holiday, not for like visiting a friend. So it was a bit weird. I went in, I was like, oh god, I get seasick, oh no, and I didn't know that. But yeah, I hadn't ever been.
Any more for any more?
Just have a question about open calls. Do you think they're worth it, or do you think it's better to just wait for anything that might come through, like in the room? Because there's so many differing opinions on it.
There's pros and cons to them. I think a lot of the time they can be a marketing thing. They used to call them cattle calls back in the day for that exact reason. Like, they're seeing, God, sometimes upwards of like 2,000-3,000 people, and they're literally only looking for like 4. And so like that's when you're asked to, oh, can we hear like a 20 to 30 second cut of your song? And I just don't think that really particularly benefits anyone. I think there has been some in recent history that actively have been marketing, and it does its job, but then you've got hundreds of performers who actually thought they were ever in with a chance, and they probably weren't in the grand scheme of things. I think when it comes to the cruise ones, they're real. So they're, not that none of them are real. Because if you're like, obviously, even if they were like, oh, let's just do an open call just so like everyone thinks we're doing an open call. If someone was to come in the room and absolutely smash it, they're still going to be like, oh my god, wait, this is real now. But for the cruise ship ones are legitimately, the cruises do them quite a lot, and they are valid. They cast most of their performers from the opens. Royal Caribbean do opens, I think Viking do opens as well sometimes. P&O. And so the cruise ones, yeah, those are where they actually bring on a lot of their performers. I think that sometimes respecting your own time, like, I don't necessarily think it's worth getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning to get the first train into London, to be outside a theatre at 4, to maybe be seen at 10. Like, that's how I feel about that.
Hello. Yeah, I have similar feelings. I think if it's, I don't want to name drop any productions, but there was a certain production that was on recently, a spooky one, and I think that was a ploy, but you don't know. But the cruises, definitely, I know so many friends that have booked jobs through P&O open calls, Viking open calls. It's definitely worth going. It's definitely worth going to at least one and seeing whether you can be bothered to get up at that time in the morning. I personally can't really. I went to Royal Caribbean one, got there at 5 and then didn't see me. So I thought, nah, not again. I won't be doing that again. But yeah, no, I I would definitely go and try once to see if you like it.
Any more? Oh, I see a hand. Go on, Shiv.
So as like drama school students, we hear a lot about like building up like a good reputation and stuff. But like obviously you can't go up to someone and be like, do I have a good reputation with you? Like how do you kind of just like sort of like doing well at sort of like building those bridges without like being a weirdo. Like that's like
I think if you've had a kind of negative experience where you've maybe not showed yourself in the best light, everyone's human, so like don't beat yourself up too much if you have had that, but you'll know if you meet someone again and they're a bit with you, then you might be like, okay, maybe we're not best buds, but it is important to have good reputation, but also everyone's human and sometimes mistakes can be made, so don't beat yourself up too much if you don't, but also be nice to everyone.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I think if you're just consistently being yourself, then whether people like you or not is on them. But I think if you're someone who's constantly trying to be liked, that never comes across particularly well. I think it's just constantly just being yourself, being a nice person in the room, being chill, and that's the best you can do. And not kind of constant. I think with this industry there is always a temptation to be seeking external validation. But get rid of that. Throw that in the bin. Exactly.
I thought you were just going to say bring a whisk, to be honest.
Or,
I really thought you were just going to
or you could just bring a whisk.
Bring a whisk. Any more? For any more? Yes, my lovely.
Do you have any advice for people just starting their drama school journey?
I think just taking on board all the advice that both of us would have given our third year selves is actually applicable for all 3 years of drama school. Like I said earlier, really your training is only 2 years long, unless you've done a foundation. But your training is really only 2 years long, and then you're a professional in a kind of waiting room as a third year. And so it is just literally enjoying yourself, not stressing out about the prospect of third year. Then when you get into third year, stress about being a third year. Like, there is such an element of stress that naturally comes to people who are at drama school that maybe doesn't happen to people who are at university studying, I don't know, physics. Not to shit on people doing physics. But I think it's, just being kinder to yourself and just enjoying your training. In the grand scheme of things, what we do is a very silly little thing. And so it's just being a silly little thing and enjoying yourself.
We're not saving lives at the end of the day. Any more for any more. Amazing. Well, can I get a final round of applause for my guests? Thank you so much. And that is it for this episode. Thank you to my live audience. Thank you to my lovely collaborator, Songbird Productions, Ellie Williamson. Thank you so much. Thank you to PPA for the ELT facilities that we've used today. Thank you, Dave. Thank you. Bye.